job, and what was it?
Get a sip of water here. I got my first job at about 11 years of age, mowing lawns in the neighborhood. 15 cents an hour was the prevailing wage for young kids at that time. Later, as I grew a little older, I was able to command 25 cents an hour. And so that helped. I had to give my earnings to my parents to help support the family. Starting at age 12, I had to buy all of my own clothes, my shoes, socks, and shirts, and pants. Don't remember having to buy shoes, but that was expected of people in my age bracket during those years.
What was
That answers your question.
that does. What was school like?
What was school like? Well, it was probably much like it is. We had to go to class every day, and I enjoyed school, although I wasn't a very good student. My parents, when I started the 10th grade, moved me from North Hollywood High, which was a public school, and put me into a private Christian school. That was good in some respects, in others, in retrospect, it probably didn't meet the expectations that you folks have from your school here, which, by the way, is absolutely beautiful. But the curriculum in this private school was more limited than what you folks experienced and what I would have had in the public school. But at the same time, the plus side was that in the public school, I was kind of a little fish in a big pond. And in the smaller school, I was able to attain certain leadership responsibilities and skills. At one time I was class president and the student body president, so which wouldn't have happened probably had I stayed in the public school. All in all, I would say I had some good opportunities.
How was then different from now?
How was then different from now? Life was simpler, and what you folks are experiencing. We didn't have television. We didn't have cell phones, and we didn't drive our own cars until much later in life. If we did have a car, we didn't have it, probably couldn't buy gas to put in it in any event. But the one big thing I see in looking around this room and on campus here is that immigration has become a bigger factor in society today, in America today, than it was. When I was in the 8th grade, there was one non-Caucasian. It was Sarah Gonzalez. Sarah was Mexican. That's the only non-Caucasian that I remember at North Hollywood High. And so it's just wonderful as I look around and see you, Kaya, and others in this classroom that may not have been born in this country, but you're finding opportunity for a good life. Okay.
How do you feel about America?
Oh. I'm very proud of America. I'm very proud of America, even with all its drawbacks. Do you folks realize the opportunities that you have living in this great country of ours? It is absolutely unbelievable. You have opportunity to go to the school of your choice, to live where you want to live, to travel where you want to travel, to get into the kind of work that you eventually will be in. You're not going to have a government that is going to dictate to you what your life is going to be like as it is in other countries. You have freedom. Freedom that other countries do not offer, many other countries. I remember so well that we had to fight for our freedom. This was in the latter part of the 1930s, in the early years of the 1940s, when a certain dictator, a vicious man by the name of Adolf Hitler. You've heard of him, I'm sure, I hope you have, because he was bent on exterminating the entire Jewish race. He rounded up mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, dragged them out of their homes, out of school, off the sidewalk, put them on trains, and sent them to extermination camps. They gassed millions and millions of people. Other countries went to war against this madman from Germany, along with Mussolini from Italy, who joined in his efforts to exterminate the Jewish population. And Hitler and Mussolini had conquered most of Europe, taken over Poland and Romania and Hungary and most of the other countries. They have practically leveled London with their bombing, and London was on its knees. And about that time, the United States of America, under President Roosevelt, declared war against Germany and Italy. And we sent bombers over to that country, and we helped save England with our industrial might and with our bombing and supplies that we provided them. The big thing that I'd like to impress upon you is that at that time, it was known that Hitler and Mussolini planned to come to the shores of the United States of America and overtake this government. So we not only sent our military over there, but our factories converted to military production. Ford and Chevrolet, GM, and Chrysler, they stopped building cars, and they started building armament tanks and so forth. Mothers and daughters and children started going to work in defense factories. I worked in one before going into the military myself. And anyone who had a plot of ground grew a victory, we called victory gardens. And we bought war bonds to help finance the war effort. So it was a collective, countrywide effort that prevailed over these tyrants that were bent on taking over the United States of America. keep in mind, folks, that the freedom that you enjoy, we enjoy, is not free. We've had to fight for it throughout history. When the immigrants first came to this country, they didn't treat the Native Indians very well. They lied to them, took the land away. And throughout history, we've made big mistakes. We went to war, brother against war, brother against, in the war called the Civil War, where 500,000 more of our own citizens died. It hasn't been a pretty history, but I guess it was necessary for us to go through that in order to achieve what we have achieved here. And so there's a lot of dissent, I know, against practices that our government has made, but keep in mind that governments are made up of people like you and myself, and people make mistakes. I suppose you've all made mistakes. I know I had. Everyone's, well, maybe not Mr. Cordell.
Plenty of them.
But in any event, governments have made mistakes. They've made decisions based upon what they thought was right, but it turns out not to be the right thing. In any event, I'm very proud that we are able to say what we want for or against the government. I reminded of a cartoon, and I'll quit. There's a teacher having the class stand up and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. And one student sitting there with his feet on the desk refused to get up, and teacher said to him, "Johnny, you have every right to object. But Johnny, let me introduce you to this gentleman sitting in a wheelchair right here who doesn't have any legs. He lost his legs defending your right